divorce or her. I've been divorced. Just a little bit of background. I don't feel like I'm qualified all the time to talk about her because I fall into my flesh sometimes, and I think I got over it until you get confronted with certain situations, and then you really know how far along you've come. And sometimes I beat myself up for it because I'm like, I thought I conquered that, but it's something inside that is still there, the residue. And I had the same feeling when she called me, and I was like, hurting. I was like, I'm hurting right now. But this is what God was telling me. Who better to talk about hurt than somebody that's been through it or is going through? I'm going through some things as we speak right now. Do you mind? No, no problem. So, after, really looking at my life and everything that I've been through, I've had a very abusive marriage. I'm from a Romanian Jewish background where culture was very strong, marriage was very important. You got married at 16, 17, 18. That was, if I was to go back to my community right now in Romania, for instance, and say I'm 35, and let's say I've never gotten married before, I'm considered a very old person.
Wow. Not
to get married, and every time you come to church, they're trying to connect you with somebody, or they're calling you, asking you questions. So already from a child, you're raised to just be married with children. That's your job. And on top of all that, women were not allowed to speak in the church. So a lot of things about women were already predestined for us before we could even know what our calling is in our life. Somebody already told you what your calling is. Like to be a mother, a wife, and that's it. Nothing wrong with that. I think we're special individuals and we can do it all. But when you're ingrained constantly what it is, that was my biggest failure in my life. It wasn't a failed grade. It wasn't a curse word. It wasn't nothing. It was the fact that I failed at my marriage. And when I had to make a decision to go through divorce and just any mistake in my life, any man that abused, father was very, loved the extra women in life. And my mom to this day, 36 years later, still married to him, dealing with the same issues for 36 years. And you look at that and you're saying, am I not strong enough like my mother is? How did she do it? Why did I have to go out here and get divorced? And that was always on my mind. And to this day, I still look at my mother and knowing what she's going through on a daily basis, I still hurt because I see it. I see it. Like, how can she do it and I can't do it? So, over time, in order to get over my hurt, I just knew that I had to forgive myself first. Because everybody tells you to forgive your spouse, forgive the person that abused you, raped you, molested you, anything that was traumatic in your life. They always say forgive the other person. But we often don't even understand that we blame ourselves more than we blame the other person. Because we're so used to, as women, to think, what did I do wrong? Because we're always trying to keep the family together. We're always trying to keep everybody together. So for a very long time, I had to understand that I can't fix anybody but myself. And be and operate in love. And how do I move forward and prepare myself for real love, true calling, and everything else? Because a lot of times the devil will use the closest thing to you, the thing that you care the most, to keep you distracted and mind clouded, and not so you cannot move into your next destiny. And often when we are already what I call have predestined, quote unquote, standards on us, we don't take time to find out, what am I really good at? I always use the example of a father that loves basketball, and he played basketball all his life, and he didn't make it to the pros. Well, the first thing he does when he has a child is instill basketball and puts 20 times the pressure, and you didn't even realize he was an artist. He can paint, but you gave him a basketball first. No, give him God first. And I'm not saying there's not godly fathers out there, but are you trying to train your child to live out your dreams or what God has called on his life?
Amen.
A lot of times we push our failures for our kids to succeed in so we can live through our kids. Now, I don't have children. I've had 7 miscarriages, 1 ectopic pregnancy, tried another failed situation as a woman, like, why can I not bear children? Why can I not bring a child into this world? And I love children. That was my passion all my life. And why? Once again, I'm failing. Like, as a woman, I thought we were called to put kids on this earth. And again, I was just hurt and doubting myself until one day, after the divorce, after all the failed pregnancies and my body weight going up and down. So now it's my self-image. Now, this is why this man is cheating on me, because I can't have children. He is cheating on me because I'm gaining weight, fluctuating weight, but I'm doing everything else. So now, my image is questionable. So you go through all these emotions as a woman, hormonal already, and as life changes, I've realized, even though I'm only 35, I don't know why I cry so much these days, but it's just an emotion. I could cry a good thing or a bad thing at the drop of a dime. and I always used to say, like, God, you know, I'm not the crying time. I'm supposed to be tough, but I will cry at the drop of a dime. But as life goes on, and I had to realize again, you know, society and even the church puts timing on what you're supposed to do. Oh, if you're 25 and you don't have children, when are you going to have children? Oh, you can't go back to college at 35, 36 because you got children. Children come from, everything just puts restraint on us, whether it's our husband and every situation that comes in our life. So then finally, I came to the realization that I had an identity crisis all my life. The identity crisis, you don't want to admit it, came from I've let other things come at me and my circumstances and my decisions that I made based on what everybody else said instead of what I was supposed to do. So I always was trying to please everybody around me, please my parents, please society, have the best job, make the most money, have the best houses, cars, and materialistic things, and have the family, and then come to realize this whole time I'm living my life for somebody else and not for myself. So when it's time to get over some hurt, you're getting hurt, and hurt came from so many places, so now you're blaming everything on everybody else. And then when you blame everything on everybody else, once again, you're not dealing with yourself, you're dealing with everybody else. So in my situation, I had to sit down and just ask God, who am I? Who am I as a woman? Who did you design to make a woman? So the Abigail, women around us that have been through stuff. And I used to, my mom is a different type of individual. She used to hold everything in. So I felt like if I had to tell somebody else, I was weak. Again, I'm showing weakness. If I tell somebody else, y'all just say, no, you go in God. You go talk to God. Then you feel alone because you think you're the only one going through this. When you hear people's stories, and you're like, I know Judge said some things today, and I was like, oh my God, I felt just like that. Yes. And I did, like, shame started going away. When you start hearing people talk, shame started going away. Hurt started going away. Because, I got chills right now just thinking about it. How when you hear other people talk about it, your shame goes away. You finally understand that there's certain things that everybody's dealing with. I know you have a story, you have a story. Everybody went through something, and we can identify, and then we don't have this glass, this wall up, like nobody can, I gotta be this perfect individual. So in really trying, the first step for me was identity. Finding my identity in Christ and who He intended me to be. Before I could forgive anybody, I had to forgive myself. I had to really forgive my parents. And I had to look at my parents. I had to forgive my mom and dad and realize how they were raised. Once I started looking at my family, what their upbringing was, I finally realized they didn't even know better. I'm going to talk to my mom about things now, and she's 57 years old, and that I thought she knew. She just, in our culture, we're not touchy-feel. Like, I think my mom might have said I love you when I was little. As a baby, you're cute, you're kissing. But as adults, my mom, when I give her a hug, she doesn't even, it's not that she doesn't love me. She'll do anything for me, but we're not affectionate like that. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that I'm trying to show my mom through what I've learned in my experience. You're never too old and never too young to learn. I had to forgive my parents. I had to forgive my church. For a long time, I used to say to God, well, my mom lived upright before you all her life. Why is she going through these things? I used to ask my aunts and uncles, what did my mom do when she was young to deserve this husband of her? And this is my dad now. It's my dad that I'm speaking about. And I go to my dad to this day and speak to him like, Dad, how could you do this to mom? How you continue doing this to mom? And he has his reasons. She's still praying, and sometimes I ask her, how do you still cook for him and clean for him and iron his clothes and do everything a wife is supposed to do when you know this man is doing what he's doing? Because in her walk, her Abigail is what she sits down and tells me that she was like, Casiana, it's between me and God. You probably not understand it. She'll apologize now for not shielding us from seeing certain things. And I married my dad the first time. When I tell you the spitting image of my father, that's who I married. And I didn't realize that till like later on when I finally came out and told my mom, look mom, what I'm going through in my divorce. And she kind of like stopped. It was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, what are you sorry for? I'm describing my dad to her. So after I had to do the forgiveness and had to just really truly start finding my identity in Christ, there was another problem that came up, and it's called trust. How do you forgive somebody? Let's say we forgive everybody in our life. How do you begin to trust people again? Because I've stopped trusting people, period. And I'm like, if I trust God, He gives me discernment. I forgave these people. If my ex-husband was to call me right now and say anything as far as let's just go have dinner just to talk, give me a chance to say I'm sorry. Do I even trust this person enough to go to dinner for him to say I'm sorry, even though I understand that I'm not gonna get back with this individual? But do you trust? So after forgiveness comes trust. You got to make that step again to live again. I trust God and God alone. And people that come into my circle, God will show me what it is and what it's not. And after trust, I had to embrace my scars, my cracks, and realize that that's what made me beautiful. And that's what made me different. Because we live in a society where we compare ourselves always comparing ourselves to somebody else. Once again, you're scared to talk about your story because you feel ashamed, and you see the cracks in your life. You don't see the cracks in her life because she has a better way of hiding it, that camouflage. And then you're like, I'm not going to talk about it because I'm ashamed. I did this and I did that. So I have an illustration for you. It talks about an older woman in China. And she was carrying 2 pots to get water to bring back to her house. Okay, one pot was perfect, and one pot had like little cracks in it. Okay, she would go to the well every single day and bring the pots back. It was like a 2-mile walk to just bring the pots back with the water. Okay, she goes to the well. She puts all this water in both pots, and every time she gets back, the one that was whole had all the water in it. The one that had cracks in it, it was always half empty by the time she got back home. And she constantly just did her thing every day. Still came back with the other pot, half empty. She didn't care. She just wanted some water in her house. So one day, just imagine what she was doing. The cracked pot, asked the lady, why do you keep taking me to that well every day, like the pot that's perfect, And you always come back with half the water. Why do you keep taking me with you? And the lady looks at the pot and starts laughing and says, well, I'm bringing water back. Well, look at all the cracks that I have. And you need water in the house. You need to go buy another pot. She said, no. She said, do you understand that every time I come home, did you notice the flowers on the side of the road that were growing? And she said, the pot was confused and said, what do you mean? She said, every day I walk back, the water that comes from your cracks water those flowers. I planted seeds along the way so the world will be pretty. And the water from your cracks waters the flowers along the way when I come back with you at the house. So at the end of the day, your cracks will water somebody else's life to make it more beautiful.
Amen.
And don't look at your cracks as that pot did more beauty than the full pot. The full pot still provided the beauty and the nourishment that the lady needed, but the other pot had a special purpose. So embrace your cracks. Embrace, you don't know who along the way did you water. Like the Abigail conference is watering somebody's life through our cracks that are here. So forgiveness, find your identity in Christ, then forgive, then identify the trust issue that you have. And once you identify the trust, embrace your cracks. And once you embrace your cracks, you will always go to the fountain of God, and He will water you every day to water other people. Amen. And that's it. That's how I got over it. And still getting over it, and it's okay to feel certain feelings every single day. And I promise you, if you continue going to that well and get that everlasting water that will never ever make you thirst again, you will help other people come to the true, pure water of life. Amen.